Clint Eastwood isn't just the man with no name, he's the man with the ultimate garage. From a $25 rust bucket he once lived in to a $12 million Mercedes the Nazis couldn't destroy, Eastwood's cars aren't just machines, they're living chapters of American history. Clint Eastwood. The name alone sparks images of steely gazes, silent heroes, and a Hollywood career spanning more than 6 decades. But behind the Oscar-winning director, behind the iconic roles of Dirty Harry and The Man with No Name, lies another identity that very few truly know. Eastwood is not just a storyteller on screen, he's a storyteller on wheels. For Clint, cars have never been about luxury for show or trophies to sit in a climate-controlled garage. They are memories on 4 wheels. Each vehicle in his collection is a chapter, marking moments of hardship, triumph, and reinvention. To step into Eastwood's garage is to walk into a living museum of both American grit and European artistry. What makes this story different from other celebrity collections is the sheer soul behind it. These aren't just expensive toys purchased on a whim. They're machines that carried him through struggles, romances, near-death experiences, and milestones in his career. From a $25 rusted-out truck he once slept in, to a Ferrari so rare it could buy a mansion in Malibu. Every car tells us something raw and personal about Eastwood's journey. And perhaps the most fascinating detail? Clint Eastwood still drives them. Unlike many collectors who lock their vehicles away as investments, Clint believes cars were built to live, to roar, to breathe. His philosophy is simple. Cars are like movies. They're meant to be experienced, not just looked at. Today, we're peeling back the curtain on 12 of the most extraordinary vehicles from Eastwood's private collection. Machines that have survived wars, shaped films, and carried one of Hollywood's greatest legends through his extraordinary life. Some are so rare, even billionaires have failed to buy them. And one is the last of its kind left in existence. Before fame, before the Oscars, before the world knew his name, Clint Eastwood was just another struggling actor trying to survive in Hollywood. And survival came in the form of a beat-up 1949 Chevrolet panel truck, bought for just $25 in 1951. This wasn't simply his first car, it was his lifeline. At the time, Eastwood was hustling for acting gigs while working odd jobs to pay the bill. Hollywood was unforgiving, and money was scarce. That truck, with more than 100,000 miles already on its odometer, became his mobile shelter. Inside its cargo space, Clint created a makeshift home. He pulled together scraps of old theater curtains for insulation and built a crude bed platform in the back. The truck's dome light doubled as his study lamp, where he pored over scripts late into the night. The Chevy itself was modest, even for its day. A 216 cubic inch straight-six engine producing just 90 horsepower, paired with a stubborn 3-speed manual transmission. Hardly glamorous, and yet it carried Eastwood through the streets of Oakland and Los Angeles, serving as both transportation and roof over his head. He often joked later that learning to tame its finicky gearbox taught him more about discipline and patience than drama school ever could. Today, that humble truck has been lovingly restored, costing more than $65,000 to bring back to life. The dents are gone, the rust has been erased, but Eastwood insisted on keeping the original bench seat, complete with the coffee stains from countless restless nights. It now sits in his garage as a monument to struggle and perseverance, a constant reminder of where it all began. This first car wasn't about power or prestige, it was about survival. And in many ways, it symbolized Eastwood's entire philosophy. Start with nothing, endure the hardships, and let determination carry you forward. That truck wasn't just a vehicle, it was the first co-star in the story of Clint Eastwood. By the mid-1950s, Eastwood's fortunes began to change. After landing his first major roles, he decided to celebrate with something bigger, bolder, and unapologetically American. A 1955 Cadillac Series 62 convertible. Painted in a dazzling shade of pink, this was no ordinary car. It was the very embodiment of post-war prosperity. Under the hood, Cadillac's 331 cubic inch V8 purred with 250 horsepower, sending smooth power through a hydromatic transmission. But for Clint, the Cadillac wasn't just about engineering, it was about personal milestones. He drove this car to his first date with Maggie Johnson, the woman who would become his wife. Its massive trunk, big enough for 4 spare tires, carried their luggage on a honeymoon road trip across America. Years later, that very memory inspired Eastwood's 1989 film, Pink Cadillac. But the Cadillac was just the beginning. As his career soared, Eastwood expanded his tastes, seeking cars that reflected the confidence of a Hollywood rising star. That led him to the 1958 Pontiac Bonneville convertible, one of only 630 fuel-injected models ever built. With its tri-tone paint and Rochester fuel injection system, the Bonneville was Pontiac's answer to Chrysler's 300C, a luxury car that could sprint like a sports car. Restoring the Bonneville became a passion project for Eastwood. While most collectors swapped out the complicated fuel injection system for easier carburetors, Clint insisted on keeping the original design intact. Every detail mattered: the chrome trim, the tri-tone paint, even the rare transportable radio that still crackled to life. Together, the Cadillac and Bonneville told the story of America's golden age of cars, a time when vehicles were rolling statements of confidence, success, and freedom. For Clint, they weren't just symbols of prosperity. They were symbols of how far he'd come, from sleeping in the back of a Chevy to cruising the highways in chrome-drenched luxury. Hollywood's success brought wealth. But Clint Eastwood never became the kind of man who simply collected cars for display. He wanted to feel speed, danger, and the raw thrill of the road. Enter the 1974 Ferrari 365 GT4 Berlinetta Boxer Spider. This car wasn't just a Ferrari. It was a rebellion on wheels. Ferrari's first mid-engine road car, it was powered by a flat 12 engine producing 380 horsepower, derived directly from Ferrari's Formula One program. But Eastwood didn't stop there. Unsatisfied with the standard coupe, he commissioned famed designer Sergio Scaglietti to convert it into a Spider. The modification cost more than the car itself, and today, only 3 of these custom Spiders exist. Eastwood's Ferrari nearly starred in his 1982 film, Firefox. At one point, he considered respraying it silver for the movie, until Enzo Ferrari himself reportedly called and begged him not to ruin its originality. That single car today is worth over $2.5 million, though Clint has famously turned down offers for twice that amount. But speed wasn't limited to cars. Eastwood's passion extended to motorcycles, particularly his 1971 Honda CB750, the so-called Ferrari of motorcycles. Revolutionary when it debuted, the CB750 featured the world's first production 4-cylinder engine. Clint rode it through the streets of San Francisco during Dirty Harry, often racing his director between scouting locations. The bike remains almost entirely original, still wearing its candy gold paint and even the special script holder bracket Eastwood welded on during filming. Honda executives once offered to restore it in Japan, but Clint declined. Instead, he spent 3 years sourcing parts himself, insisting every scratch told a story. These machines weren't just possessions. They were Clint's way of staying alive, of feeling the adrenaline that comes with risk. Whether on 4 wheels or 2, Clint Eastwood chased not just speed, but the reminder that life itself is a ride meant to be experienced at full throttle. If Ferraris and Hondas fed his thrill for racing, Clint's heart remained deeply loyal to American muscle. Few cars showcase that love better than his 1967 Shelby GT500, a machine hand-built by Carroll Shelby himself. When Shelby heard Clint wanted one, he didn't just deliver a car, he delivered a beast. The 428 cubic inch V8 was bored and stroked to 447 cubic inches, producing 455 horsepower. Paired with a close ratio transmission from Ford's racing program, this wasn't just another GT500. It was a custom-tuned monster. The car almost never made it to Clint. En route, the delivery truck was hijacked outside Las Vegas. When the thieves realized whose car they had stolen, they abandoned it at a gas station. An attendant unknowingly used it as a tow vehicle for 3 days before it was recovered. Today, the Shelby remains one of Eastwood's most cherished cars, still driven regularly and valued at over $2 million. Then there's the 1972 Ford Gran Torino Sport, immortalized in his 2008 film Gran Torino. What most don't know is that Clint had owned the car for decades before the movie. Painted in bright red with a black vinyl roof, it came equipped with Ford's mighty 429 Cobra Jet V8, producing 370 horsepower. When Warner Brothers suggested using a replica for the film, Clint refused. "You can't fake authenticity," he said. Every dent and scratch on that Torino had history. The small ding in the rear quarter panel from a 1974 fender bender even made it into the film. For Clint, it wasn't just a prop, it was part of the story. Together, the Shelby and Torino reflect Eastwood's philosophy of cars. They are not ornaments to be locked away. They are meant to be driven, pushed, and celebrated. Just as he embodied rugged, no-nonsense American heroes on screen, his cars embodied the raw, untamed spirit of American muscle. While Clint's heart beat for American muscle, his taste also stretched across the Atlantic. European cars brought elegance, romance, and craftsmanship. None more so than his 1960 Jaguar XK150 Roadster. This car became an unplanned star in Play Misty for Me, Eastwood's directorial debut. The original script called for a Mercedes, but when that car broke down, Clint rolled in his own Jaguar instead. Powered by a 3.8-liter straight six, producing 265 horsepower, the XK150 was a British masterpiece. Its four-wheel disc brakes were revolutionary at the time, though they nearly failed during a dangerous cliffside scene in Big Sur. Clint's genuine fear in the final cut? It was real. The brakes had leaked, and disaster was only inches away. After surviving that close call, most would have sold the car. Not Clint. He restored it meticulously, even sourcing the same wool and leather from original British suppliers. Today, it remains one of his most personal vehicles, tied to both his film career and near-death experiences. Then there's the unexpected gem, the 1966 Morris Mini Cooper S Countryman Traveler. A quirky little wagon, it was one of only 6 ever built. Eastwood fell in love with its handling while filming in Europe. The car itself was discovered abandoned in a California barn, missing its engine. By sheer coincidence, Clint tracked the original engine to Australia, reuniting the car with its beating heart. These European machines represent a softer side of Eastwood. The Jaguar carried romance, danger, and artistry. The Mini, playful and unique, showed his lighter spirit. Together, they remind us that Clint's taste wasn't confined to horsepower. It was about character, soul, and the craftsmanship of another era. And now, the crown jewels of Eastwood's collection. The cars so rare, so valuable, they border on myth. First, the 1936 Mercedes-Benz 540K Special Roadster. Only 26 were ever built, and Eastwood's is the only one with original chassis, body, and engine intact. Its history is chilling. Once ordered by Nazi official Hermann Göring, it was hidden in a German barn after World War II. In 1984, Clint received a mysterious letter from a German collector offering it. Skeptics dismissed it as a hoax, but Eastwood's research confirmed its authenticity. Powered by a supercharged straight 8 producing 180 horsepower, the 540K wasn't just fast for its era, it was an engineering marvel. The restoration was painstaking, requiring original German suppliers to recreate materials from the 1930s, right down to the wool headliner. Today, the car is worth more than $12 million, but its true value lies in its history, a symbol of survival, redemption, and rarity. Then comes the 1964 Ferrari 250 GT Lusso, the last Lusso ever built, originally ordered by Italian filmmaker Roberto Rossellini before financial troubles canceled the delivery. It went instead to Clint, who paid $15,500 in 1970. Today, it's worth more than $3.5 million, perhaps double, given its provenance. The Lusso is a work of art. Its 3.0-liter Colombo Vivard 12 produces 240 horsepower, paired to a car weighing just 2,250 pounds. Ferrari considered it one of the most beautiful cars ever made. And unlike many collectors who preserve such treasures in climate-controlled vaults, Eastwood drives his regularly. Cars are meant to be lived with, he says. These crown jewels aren't just about rarity or value. They are the culmination of Clint's journey, from a $25 truck to machines worth millions. From survival to immortality, Clint Eastwood's garage is not just a collection. It is a living storybook, a museum of steel and chrome that tells his life better than any interview ever could. Each car is more than metal. It is a memory, a symbol, a chapter of a man who lived fearlessly on screen and just as boldly off it. When you look at that rusty 1949 Chevy panel truck, you don't just see an old beater. You see a young Clint, broke, sleeping in the back, chasing a dream that seemed impossible. That truck was more than transportation. It was survival. It carried him through rejection, hunger, and long nights wondering if Hollywood would ever give him a chance. Then comes the Cadillac, gleaming like a crown jewel, marking his rise. The Bonneville, a celebration of a new life, new love, and new confidence. These cars weren't purchased for attention or headline. They were milestones, physical reminders of when the struggling actor became a leading man, when the dreamer became a star. The Ferrari Boxer, the Honda motorcycle, those aren't status symbols. They're evidence of Clint's spirit, a man who lived for the thrill of the open road and the danger of speed. Behind the wheel, he wasn't an actor. He wasn't a director. He was just Clint, chasing adrenaline, chasing freedom, even at the risk of his life. The Shelby Mustang, the Gran Torino, those cars connect his real life to his legendary roles. Dirty Harry's toughness, the quiet dignity of Walt Kowalski. They remind us that Clint never separated art from life. His cars, like his films, reflect the man. Simple, powerful, unforgettable. And then, the crown jewels, the Mercedes 540K, the Ferrari Lusso, priceless not because of their dollar value, but because of their history. They represent refinement, legacy, and timeless elegance, qualities Clint himself embodies after a lifetime of storytelling. Unlike many celebrities who collect for prestige, Clint Eastwood collects for meaning. His philosophy is brutally simple. A car is not an investment. It's a living memory. It must be driven, touched, and felt. Because a car, like a life, isn't meant to be locked away. It's meant to move forward. And when we step back and look at his garage, we don't just see rare Ferraris and priceless Mercedes. We see the man himself, resilient like his Chevy truck, bold like his Cadillac, fearless like his Shelby, refined like his Jaguar, legendary like his Ferrari Lusso. From the streets of Oakland to the hills of Carmel, Clint Eastwood's cars echo a lifetime lived at full speed. A Hollywood icon, a storyteller, and above all, a man who never forgot that the road itself is part of the journey. But this is not where the story ends. Because while Eastwood's garage is legendary, another Hollywood great built a collection to rival his, Steve McQueen. And hidden in that garage is one of the most famous Mustangs ever made. So here's the question. Do you feel lucky enough to miss it? If you enjoyed this ride through Clint Eastwood's legendary garage, make sure to like this video, drop a comment with your favorite car, share it with fellow movie buffs, and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter, Steve McQueen's untouchable car collection. Because in Hollywood, legends don't just make movies. Sometimes they drive them